you're running a Forex brokerage, growth is everything, right? But what if the number one tool for growth, your marketing, is actually your biggest compliance risk? Well, today we're going to talk about that exact trap and, more importantly, how you can get out of it. Okay, let's just start right here. This single sentence, it really hits the nail on the head. In pretty much any other industry, a bad ad is just a bad ad. But in Forex, one wrong move, one ad that's a little too ambitious, and suddenly you could have regulators knocking on your door. The stakes are just incredibly high.
And that, of course, leads to the big question, doesn't it? If the normal path of just running aggressive ads is like walking through a minefield, what's the alternative? How do you get your name out there and attract traders without setting off an alarm?
So before we can find the way out, we have to really understand the trap itself. Let's break down exactly what makes old school Forex marketing so risky in the first place. It usually starts with something like this. You've poured time and money into crafting the perfect campaign, you hit launch and nope, the ad platforms shut it down. Their policies on Forex and CFDs are always getting tighter, which makes getting anything approved a total guessing game. And then, yeah, it gets worse. Now it's not just one ad campaign they've rejected. Nope, your whole ad account gets flagged, it gets restricted. And just like that, your main pipeline for finding new clients is completely frozen. And this is the absolute nightmare scenario. The entire system you've built, the ads, the landing pages, everything, it can literally just vanish overnight. One little policy change from a platform you don't control, and your entire marketing engine just grinds to a dead stop. Now, what's so important to see here is the direct line it draws. Over on the left, that's the cause. The promotional language we see all the time. Guaranteed returns, all that stuff. And on the right, that's the direct consequence. It's not just about getting banned from an ad platform. It's about attracting the kind of regulatory heat that puts your whole operation under serious pressure. So when you boil it all down, this whole trap is really built on three big risks. First, you've got platform risk, because the rules are always changing. Then there's the big one, regulatory risk, where you could trigger a real investigation. And honestly, just as important is the trust risk. Let's be real, experienced traders are so tired of the hype, they just tune out another flashy promotional ad. Okay, so that's the trap. We get it, it's dangerous, but pointing out a problem is pretty useless without a solution, right? So let's totally shift gears and look at a smarter, much more sustainable way to grow. And the key to this whole strategy? It's the humble press release. But we have to think about it in a new way. Look at this definition here. Its main job is to communicate information, not just to sell something. That is a huge fundamental shift in your thinking. This slide right here, this is the aha moment. Ads are designed to push a message at people. They basically shout, but press releases, they're designed to communicate information. They inform. And trust me, that one distinction changes absolutely everything. And the result of that tiny shift from pushing to communicating is just so powerful. All of a sudden, your brokerage stops looking like every other company that's just desperate for client deposits. Instead, you start looking like a legitimate, active player in the actual financial industry. So, let's get practical. How does using public relations actually build that crucial legitimacy that we're talking about and help you grow without all the risk? Well, it really comes down to these four pillars. First up is authority. Seeing your company news in financial media just makes you look way more established than a banner ad ever could. Second, you earn trust. When an independent site shares your news, that's a powerful endorsement. Third, you get search visibility. Google indexes these announcements, and they become online assets that last. And finally, strategic positioning. Every single release helps tell the story of a company that's growing and going somewhere. And think about the value here for a second. This is so crucial. Your ad budget is like paying rent. The second you stop paying, you're gone. But PR content, that's an asset you own. It gets published, it gets indexed by search engines, and it can keep bringing you visibility and credibility for years and years. And that right there brings us to the real power of this whole approach. It's all about playing the long game. This isn't about one-off announcements. It's about building a consistent narrative over time. So what kind of information are we actually talking about sharing? Well, it's the real actual news from your business. Things like you've updated your trading platform, or you've landed a key partnership. Maybe you got a new license, or you're launching a new trading product. These are all legitimate newsworthy events. You see, the goal here is all about consistency.
Each one of these announcements, when you release them strategically over time, reinforces the exact same powerful idea that this is a serious brokerage, one that is constantly growing, getting better, and making a real mark on the industry. Okay, we've covered a lot. We've talked about the trap, and we've talked about the strategic way out. So let's boil all of this down to the one core idea that you absolutely need to remember. And really, it all comes down to this. Ads are for chasing short-term attention. That's their job. But public relations, PR, is a strategy for building long-term legitimacy. They are two fundamentally different tools for two very different jobs. And that's why this matters so much, especially in the world of Forex. In a market where traders are always, and I mean always, questioning who they can actually trust, legitimacy isn't just some nice little bonus. It becomes your single most valuable asset. So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. Are all your marketing efforts just chasing after temporary attention? Or are you strategically, thoughtfully building something that's actually going to last? What is your brokerage really building?